This is Southern Cross News with Joe Palmer.
Good evening, everyone. The Coalition for Marriage has confirmed it has secured a space at the University of Tasmania for an event tomorrow night after being refused from Rest Point and another Hobart venue. Liberal Senator Cory Bernardi and Lyell Shelton are booked as key speakers for the event, with hundreds said to be attending. Late this afternoon, the federal group confirmed it declined the booking because it couldn't guarantee the safety of its staff.
This is where the Coalition for Marriage was first planning to host its Tasmanian rally in 24 hours' time. It says hundreds of people had signed up to hear talks from prominent No campaigners.
Talking about the consequences of what would happen if there was a yes vote.
But these plans were skewed when Rest Point contacted the Coalition to say the booking would no longer be accommodated.
When the original booking was made last Thursday, there were 2 rooms available, and a contract was sent to us over the weekend, which was signed on Monday.
Federal Group wasn't taking questions, but a spokesperson fronted the media late today with a prepared statement.
We did not have the ability to confirm if our staff were comfortable to work at this event.
This is a public event on a public vote, and we should have a space in the public domain to make our point.
A rally would put considerable pressure on our staff and security resources.
Tasmania's former Anti-Discrimination Commissioner says the incident highlights the need for tolerance from both sides.
The idea that they were refused service, and if it's because of the views they're expressing, that's unacceptable. It's equally unacceptable for them to then turn around and lobby for refusal of service because people are same-sex attracted and are planning a wedding.
Our people and our guests are our number one priority.
The Coalition for Marriage has confirmed the rally will now be held at the University of Tasmania's Sandy Bay campus. Students supporting same-sex marriage say the event should be allowed.
And even if we don't necessarily like their opinion, we've got to let them speak.
The event begins at 7 p.m. Louise Hedger, Southern Cross News.
Leading researchers are warning the environmental conditions of Macquarie Harbour are at a crucial point. There are signs marine life is recovering, but recent data shows oxygen levels are sliding again, with fears they could drop to critically low levels as seen this time last year.
Fish farming in Macquarie Harbour has attracted a lot of attention, with concerns it's having a negative impact on the environment. It's also under the microscope at the Institute of Marine and Antarctic Studies.
Not many people would realise it's 6 times the size of Sydney Harbour, so it's a big system to study.
Researchers have released the latest report examining the harbour. They've found bacteria mats around some salmon leases are retracting and marine life is showing signs of recovery. But oxygen levels are sliding again, with concerns they could reach critically low levels in the weeks ahead.
We have had a better year. The fauna responded quite well, which is encouraging, but oxygen levels are quite low and the capacity to reach those levels still sits there.
Human Aquaculture is laying the blame with Tassal, saying Macquarie Harbour is overstocked. The company says its own streams of data are showing lower oxygen levels than this time last year, when there was a critical deterioration.
It's trending in a way that makes us very concerned leading into summer, and that's why I'm calling on Tassal to actually move their fish out of that harbour.
Tassal couldn't comment on camera, releasing a statement saying the waste capture system it's implemented is important to mitigate against environmental impacts. But Environment Tasmania says that system isn't working.
The report shows a persistence in marine dead zones and thick bacteria mats under Tassal's pens, as well as a continuation in marine dead zones in our World Heritage Area.
The government says it's confident in the current management of the harbour.
The Environmental Protection Agency is a very important agency. We've increased its powers, strengthened its penalties, and as a result, it's an independent, objective assessment that must be undertaken.
Researchers will continue to monitor the harbour's oxygen levels.
Again, this year they are quite low and it is a concern, and we need to really keep a close eye on it.
The next IMAS report will be released early next year. Michael Breen, Southern Cross News.
A commercial fishing vessel has been fined a record $45,000 for discharging diesel at Hobart Port. Australian Longline released around 400 litres of fuel into the Derwent River in November 2015. The incident occurred in the vicinity of endangered fish species, although no environmental harm was recorded. The Environmental Protection Authority is welcoming the penalty, which is the largest of its kind imposed in Tasmania. Red tape is being blamed for a poor take-up of the state government's medicinal cannabis scheme. Labor claims only 3 applications have been made to the Tasmanian Health Service since the scheme began 5 weeks ago, with none approved.
A slow start to the new strategy. Not a single applicant has managed to access medicinal cannabis since the scheme came in last month. Labor says it's lacklustre Liberal policy.
This is more than teething issues. Specialists are walking away from this system. They're saying that it's taking 3 to 4 hours to fill out the paperwork.
But if you ask the government, it's evidence doctors are taking a cautious approach. The fact applications are rolling in, held up as evidence the scheme is working. But Guy Barnett's power play is on slashing energy bills, claiming Tasmania is on the verge of self-sufficiency, pushed along by Hydro's $1 billion upgrade over the next 10 years.
The lowest possible prices for Tasmanians and gives us energy security.
Someone has to pay for that $1 billion worth of investment, and I'm afraid I don't trust Guy Barnett, I don't trust the Hodgman Liberal government that their spin will actually be the reality.
Hydro says the upgrade will power an extra 30,000 homes.
Generally every piece of asset improvement that's required to either extend life or to increase output.
Tom Johnson, Southern Cross News.
A coronial inquest into the death of 3 workers at Queenstown's Mount Lyell mine in 2013 and 14 has been set down to be heard early next year. The inquest into the deaths of Craig Gleeson, Alastair Lucas and Michael Welsh will start on April 9 and is expected to run for more than a month. Coroner Simon Cooper will consider the exact circumstances of how the men died and whether appropriate precautions were in place. A Launceston man has been sentenced to jail for striking another man to the head with a golf club, causing him serious brain injuries. Jamie Alexander Collins was found guilty of causing grievous bodily harm by a jury last week. He was today sentenced to 2.5 years behind bars.
The court heard 21-year-old Jamie Collins hit Christian Mark Weitzman in the back of the head in 2015. It left him in an induced coma. The incident occurred outside the Park Hotel in Invermay following a golf trip. Today, the Invermay man appeared in Launceston Supreme Court via video link from Risdon Prison. The court heard the attack left the victim in a critical condition. He required emergency surgery and spent 11 days in the Royal Hobart Hospital's intensive care unit. Judge Michael Brett said Collins had no criminal record and wasn't likely to reoffend. He said his actions were reckless but not intentional. Collins will be able to apply for parole next year.
Meanwhile, in a separate incident, another Launceston man has been sentenced to 5 years in jail for fraudulently dealing with more than $1.2 million. The court heard Andrew Neville Hodgetts was working for Launceston Motor Group at the time he stole the money.
Hodgetts will be able to apply for parole in 3 years. Rita Risk, Southern Cross News.
Deloraine woman Sarah Kerry-Ann Newitt has failed to appear in the Launceston Magistrates Court after being charged with using a carriage service to menace another person. The prosecutor said there has been a long history of aggravation between the 2 people. The court heard Ms Newitt is in Melbourne caring for her child who is receiving treatment. The case has been adjourned until November 7. Police are searching for a number of Aboriginal jewellery items that were stolen from a property in Rugby earlier this week. It's believed the items were taken between the 1st and 14th of September. Anyone who recognises the items are urged to contact Crime Stoppers. The Uniting Church is working to recover from a devastating fire at its Gagebrook Centre yesterday. Fire gutted the building, which is used for providing much-needed emergency relief. The Uniting Church says it hopes to be back up and running in some form with a temporary facility within a week. Police are continuing investigations into the fire. If Launceston's flood levee system wasn't upgraded in 2014, last year's June floods would have caused $216 million damage, according to a new report. The Bushfire and Natural Hazards Community Research Centre finding the levee saved the community 4 times the cost of its construction. The 2016 June floods are considered a once-in-50-year event. Now let's take a look at the day's business and finance with thanks to Tasplan, your local super fund. The share market has closed flat as banks continued their recent declines, Qantas hit new highs and the major iron ore companies managed minor gains. The ASX 200 index has dropped by 0.3 points. A short time ago, the Australian dollar was trading at 78.3 US cents and 109.34 New Zealand cents.
Tasmanian Tigers' horror start to their domestic season has continued with another big loss at the Wacker yesterday afternoon. Chasing 325, Ben McDermott's 97-run effort wasn't enough to spur the rest of the order on, with the Tigers all out in the 46th over, falling more than 100 runs short.
Chasing another big total, things got off to a promising start thanks to Ben McDermott, but it didn't take long for things to unravel with Ben Dunk gone for a duck. The Bushrangers were sure they had another in McDermott soon after. Instead, he went on to make them pay. Doolan was the next to go on too, leaving his skipper to try and salvage the innings. As McDermott and Bailey raced towards their 50s, the Tigers still looked half a chance. But when Bailey was caught deep on 52, hopes quickly began to fade. Jordan Silk's day was ended after just 13 balls, courtesy of Matt Short. 6 runs was all Charlie Wakeham had in him before McDermott fell painfully short of his ton. From there, it was all a formality as the bottom order went one by one, with the Tigers falling short by 111 runs.
We were just trying to sort of get to 40 overs and go from there. I think we would have been in the game if myself and George got going a little bit more.
Meantime, after taking 1 for 49 during that match, Tigers quick Jackson Bird is set to return to Hobart with a troubled hamstring. According to the Tigers camp, Bird reported an increase in tightness in his left hamstring following yesterday's loss. He'll undergo rehabilitation in Hobart and is expected to return for the Tigers in the opening round of the JLT Sheffield Shield on October 26. His replacement in the One Day Cup squad will be confirmed in the coming days. Well, it's shaping up as the close race to see who takes this year's Alistair Lynch medal for the TSL's best and fairest. And while Jay Bowden, Tom Couch and Brad Cox-Goodyear remain the front runners, a Lauderdale young gun could prove the dark horse.
It's been a season to remember for the Bombers, but it could get better still, with 2 of its best right in the mix to take the TSL's biggest individual honour tomorrow night. After a standout season that saw him clinch the Baldock medal with an 8-goal effort and the side's grand final win over Lauderdale, midfielder Brad Cox-Goodyear is every chance to add another bit of silverware to the cabinet in 2017.
He's been a great player for the club over a number of years, and obviously he's taken that next step this year. And we're really hoping that he gets up and it'll be a reward for all his hard work and dedication.
The Bombers coach also looming as a big threat to dash Jay Bowden's hopes of back-to-back Lynch medals. But after already claiming the RACT Insurance Player of the Year this season, no one will be shocked if the Glenorchy Gun's name is called out. Like Cox-Goodyear, Lauderdale's Dylan Fife is coming off a career best year, playing a crucial role in the club making it through to the big dance. Although he looms as an outside chance, the speedy on-baller believes it's a one-horse race.
Couchy, I think he's all-round player. He can go in the guts, he can play forward, he's kicked multiple goals, which is obviously helps your team win. That's how you win games. So, I would have thought Couchy.
Meantime, the battle lines have been drawn between Team Tasmania and the Victorian All-Stars for the Relive the Rivalry charity football match, with some Tasmanian football greats getting ready to wind back the clock.
Vics have probably come out to get us. Tassie blokes over the last few years probably fielded their best team. Probably going to have our work cut out. It gets pretty serious. There is a bit of fun out there, but there's a few there that
don't mind having a bit of a go, so just looking forward to getting out there.
The game kicks off at 5:30 on Saturday at UTAS Stadium.
Tasmania's Matthew Everett has been knocked out of the World Archery Youth Championships in Argentina. Everett lost 4 out of 5 ends in his first round matchup. Meanwhile, Hobart's Sarah Haywood has progressed to the 3rd round. She'll compete again later tonight. The championships run until Sunday. And finally in sports tonight, following an injury-plagued season that saw him sidelined for 11 weeks, North Launceston star Jay Lockhart's AFL dream could still be alive and well, with the midfielder travelling to Melbourne this weekend for the Rookie Me AFL Combine testing. The event sees young hopefuls take part in a series of tests, with the results accessible to all AFL recruiters. A very talented young footballer too, Joe, so I think he'll do very well over there, and that's it for sport.
Good evening. Hobart 14 degrees today, Launceston and Devonport 16, Burnie reached 18. The top was Flinders Island, 20 degrees today as a trough had showers and widespread rainfall across the state. Temperatures were around or slightly below average. Strawn 19, Wynyard 18, St Helens, Friendly Beaches and Bridport 17, Bushy Park 16, King Island and Campania 15 degrees, Lowhead 14, Grove 12 and Lyell 9 today. There is a band of high to middle level cloud extending from thunderstorm activity over Western Australia that goes through South Australia and to the south of the continent. Frontal cloud is over Victoria and Tasmania. Some convection is building over inland Queensland. A low pressure system west of King Island has cloud extending south over the state with widespread middle level clouds sitting right over Tasmania today. Tomorrow the low moves to our east with the front over the Tasman Sea. A trough extends over central Australia. A high moves to be east of the Bight. Another front to the west as well. Winds south-southwesterly at 15 to 25 knots, reaching 35 knots up the east coast, and easing to 10 to 20 knots should occur by evening. Gale warning. Current for waters between and including Flinders Island to Wineglass Bay. A strong wind warning from Wineglass Bay to South East Cape and from Low Rocky Point to Stanley. And for tomorrow, a shower or two clearing from Hobart, 15 degrees, 15 the top for Huonville. Shower clearing from Campania with 16 the maximum. Launceston, partly cloudy and 18, 19 for Devonport and 18 for Georgetown. For Burnie, partly cloudy, 18 the top. A shower or two clearing from Strawn, 15, 18 the top for Wynyard. For St Helens tomorrow, a possible early shower, 16 the maximum, 16 also for Swansea, 15 for Port Arthur. And there's the UV, a moderate 5 across the board. Fine and partly cloudy for most of us on Saturday. Patchy light rain extending across the state on Sunday with the winds turning northwesterly later. Showers for all regions on Monday, contracting to the west and far south during the afternoon. Partly cloudy in Perth, Adelaide and Canberra tomorrow. A shower clearing from Melbourne. A cloudy 23 in Sydney, but showers and storms for Brisbane and Darwin. And there you can see the current temperatures with cloudy conditions over the state at the moment. Joe, our changeable spring weather continues.
It certainly does. Wouldn't have it any other way. Thank you so much, Murph. That's all from the news team for now. We'll see you a bit later.